Good morning. Justin, thank you for joining me today. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and introducing yourself.
Sure. I'm Justin Makarovich. I'm with the Zicklin Graduate Career Management Center, and we've been using ExPrep for probably about 3 years now to provide some Excel basics training to master's level business students and MBAs in the Zicklin School of Business.
Okay, thank you so much. You said you've been doing this for about 3 years now. What were you doing prior to working with ExPrep?
Well, when it came to Excel, stepping back, one of the things that we were hearing from professors as well as students that some students in the master's level program didn't have some of the Excel skills that they would
Mhm.
have expected or that would have helped students be successful in their courses.
Mm.
And we worked together with different graduate programs to survey professors on what functionality within Excel they teach in their courses and that they would like their students to know before starting their courses. We gathered all that information and then worked with ExPrep to develop a course that covered those functions and those functionalities as well as other Excel basics that students should know.
You've been using this for about 3 years. What has that experience been like, and what kind of feedback have you heard from students?
The way in which we would do that actually is we would take the content and then we would create little boot camp experiences that would be either a month or a month and a half long,
Mhm.
and ultimately creating sort of a sense of urgency and sort of a sense of sort of being in an event, a learning type of event for students, and students really reacted well to that. And
Mhm.
so what we would do is we would have students, because part of the XPrep is students would be given 5 business days to do a pre-assessment and take the pre-assessment test, and they would be
Mhm.
given about 2.5 weeks for them to actually go through all of the tutorials,
Mhm.
and which include the exams after each tutorial and getting it scored, et cetera. And then they can retake those exams, et cetera. And then
Mhm.
there would be this last week in which students would take the post-assessment to try to get that to see the difference between their scores. And the feedback from students was really positive because the way in which it's set up, especially with needing to take exams or I guess tests after each lesson, and those then get graded automatically by XPrep.
Mhm.
Students found that that was a really effective way of learning because they had to do the work in a spreadsheet and then submit it and upload it. And then they would be able to see what they did wrong. And if they wanted to get a better grade, they just had to go back and take the test again or go review the lessons. And so that was a really effective way of doing things. So for students who are really invested in being successful and wanted to take the time, they found it really great. And we did find that some students just they just didn't have the capacity, or whether that's time, people are busy, et cetera. Some of them just couldn't do it, and so they would either drop off, or they would do it at another time after the boot camp period. So that was the experience for sure.
Mhm. Awesome. How has it changed the way in which you present the course?
So I don't teach. I'm not a teacher and I don't have a course, but it's changed the way in which we offer this type of programming on the Career Center side to students because it's been a different way of how students can experience the program, or the content.
Mhm.
So as an example, much sometimes we have technical workshops and trainings that we offer, are able to offer to students, and much of that is instructor led, and students will go through, say, 3 or 4 hour experience where an instructor is leading them through and showing them how certain functions are done in Excel or other types of technical programs. And the difference here is this is self-paced, and students have to actually do the work in order to get a grade,
Mhm.
which doesn't affect their GPA, obviously, but to get a grade and to see how they're progressing
Mhm.
versus sitting there and watching somebody do it. And even if they're doing it along with that instructor, it's a different way. It's a really different way of learning.
Is there anything else that you think would be worth knowing or worth sharing with anyone who sees this video?
Um, Yeah, I mean, from how we use it on the Career Center side, there is, the great there the pluses are it definitely manages itself, and students can, have sort of that self-paced experience, and if and things like that. But one thing that I've learned over the last few years is really having to manage expectations to students and in
Mm,
the way we promote the program and the way that we promote, say, the boot camp experience for the 4 weeks
mhm,
is is putting steps together for students. Like you've got to start that pre-assessment this week, and then you've got to move right into the lessons, and then by week 4, you should be done with your post-assessment, so that it kind of doesn't for students, like it doesn't make this thing like never ending, and
mhm.
it has end dates, and so that they can get motivated to do something like, okay, so by July 31st, this should be done.
Right.
And then also I think one of the things that I've learned is having to explain to students, like, you can go back and you can, if you didn't get a grade for a lesson that you liked, or you think that you should be doing better, you can go back and you can do it again. And some students were, we found that they were confused about that.
Mhm,
So I think the biggest takeaway was, having to ramp up to be able to communicate to students what they should be doing and what their experience will be like.
mhm.
Um, I found that very helpful.
Okay, wonderful. Well, those are all of the questions that I had for you
Great.
related to the experience